Ahoy and welcome back once again to I Like Watches 2. We're on I Like Watches 2 today. I know it's been far too long since I've produced any content for this channel, but anyway, I thought I'd produce a video on some pocket knives or folding knives that I bought from AliExpress recently because, well, we're all very aware that AliExpress has some incredible wristwatches, but there's lots of other awesome stuff available on AliExpress, including folding knives. I've done some YouTube shorts recently. In those videos, I've unboxed watches and used folding knives. A few of you have shown an interest in my small collection of pocket knives, so I thought I'd have a look on AliExpress, see what's available, see if I can find the sort of San Martin equivalent, a brand that seems to produce the best pocket knives, and I think I found that brand. I've bought the cheapest watch, their most expensive watch, and their best selling watch. The brand is called Petrified Fish, and I was really not prepared for what was about to arrive. The cheapest and the best selling knives arrived in these fairly basic cardboard boxes, but the most expensive knife arrived in a very nice pouch. Now, before I go any further, I do want to say, please check your local laws. If you're considering buying any sharp implements or knives online, please make sure it's legal for you to do so. I'm allowed to legally own these, I'm just not allowed to carry them essentially away from my home or my property because they are all locking knives, and in the UK we're not allowed to carry locking folding knives like this out in public. So for me, legal to own, had no trouble getting these into the UK, but yeah, if I'm caught with these in my pockets out in public, I'm going to be in a lot of trouble. So is there any point in buying them, I hear you ask? Well, that's a question for another day, to be honest. I was just curious to get them in and have a look at them, because 2 out of the 3 are actually very affordable. Let me show you the cheapest one first. And well, the first thing I noticed when it arrived was the sheer size of it. I know on AliExpress they give you pictures showing it next to a ruler, but yeah, when it arrived, well, when 2 of the 3 arrived, I was shocked by the size of all 3 of them, to be honest. Yeah, 2 of them much bigger than I was expecting, and the other one, I guess, a bit smaller than I was expecting. But for $27 odd, this knife is phenomenal. I can totally see why this has sold in pretty decent numbers. The blade is D2 steel. That's sort of fairly standard, cheapish steel for a folding knife like this. Steel bearing, G10 handle, there's lots of specifications on AliExpress. One thing worth noting though, they say in the listing it's not a locking knife. They have to say that because I don't think they're actually allowed on AliExpress to sell locking folding knives like this. So when these arrived, there was a little sticker on them saying please don't post any pictures of the locking mechanism in your review on AliExpress. So yeah, all 3 knives lock. And the action to release the blade is really quite addictive, I've got to say. It's not the sort of fiddle toy or fidget thing that I want to be playing with regularly because, well, there's obvious dangers, and these knives are pretty sharp. But yeah, it's a good size. I like it. Perhaps a little bit bigger than the sort of knife I would find practical. I like smaller knives, I think. Knives that I can open up envelopes and packages and, do other bits and pieces with without fear of losing a limb or a finger. And yeah, I think this is perhaps a little bit larger than I was anticipating or was wanting. But if you think this is big, you wait till you see the next one. This is their best selling knife, and it is, well, it's more of a machete really. This thing is massive. It's only an extra couple of dollars. Unbelievable. Again, D2 steel blade, steel bearings, really nice action. It is, of course, a locking blade. There's some carbon fiber in the handle as well. I mean, they're calling it an everyday carry knife. Oh man, I'd be in so much trouble if I was caught carrying this away from my property, and I really do think for most people it is too big. But the reason I think it's popular is because, well, it's a really nicely shaped blade, really nicely shaped handle as well, and I think there's probably more people out there that want a slightly larger, more useful knife like this. Again, really sharp. fairly substantial blade as well. The spine of the blade is really quite thick. Yeah, a cracking knife, but just way too big for me. Way too big. Now we move on to the most expensive knife Petrified Fish offers. This was 3 times the price of the other two, and it is tiny. But I gotta say, I really, really like it. The shape of it reminds me a little bit of a flying fish. You've got these sort of fins down the side. It's a titanium handle. It's coated, obviously. Some of the coating, unfortunately, is already starting to come off, so I don't think it's DLC. It's a cheaper form of coating, but oh man, the knife action releasing that blade, really satisfying. Cool blade as well, a fairly long cutting edge, because it sort of starts under the handle. I just love the shape of the blade. I mean, is it worth $100? I don't think so. I really don't think so. It has come in a really nice little pouch. Again, it is a locking knife, so I wouldn't even be able to take this out and about with me. Yeah, I'm just not allowed in the UK, sadly, even though it's tiny. But as small as it is, I would still find this knife far more practical than the other two. Yeah, I could use this to open up packages and just use about, you know, the house for all sorts of, well, really, I don't have a lot of reason to buy these knives. I just like them. And I actually would prefer they didn't lock. It would be nice to be able to release the blade and put the blade away with one hand. So yeah, I do generally prefer non-locking knives. And yeah, if ever I've then got a reason to carry it out and about, as long as the blade is under a certain length, I'm not going to get into too much trouble. But you still do, even for UK legal pen knives, you still do need a decent reason to have it on you. You're just not allowed to carry them out and about whenever you want, for fairly obvious reasons, I think. Now, there are a few reasons why this smaller knife is quite a bit more expensive than the other two. I think one of the main reasons is the steel used for the blade. It's M390. It holds its cutting edge much longer than D2 steel, so you'll find it used for blades on more expensive knives, just generally. You've also got that titanium handle, and it's coated, and I think there's just more machining, more shaping to the blade. You've also got a ceramic bearing, so the sort of releasing action does feel quite a bit smoother. It's a lot more satisfying, and I feel much safer just fiddling around with this knife, despite its being unbelievably sharp still. That point is incredible. But it's still just under $100, which is a lot of money for any pocket knife, especially one coming from China, from AliExpress. I was really quite shocked to see the price of this knife. Yeah, there's a lot of knives that you can probably buy locally from local stores or websites within your country that sell blades from reputable brands, decent blades costing quite a bit less than $100. So yeah, it is a lot of money for this one, isn't it? But what I've taken from this is this brand on AliExpress does seem to offer incredibly well made, and on occasions incredible value for money knives. You just need to find the right one for you, and they do offer quite a few different types. So yeah, I'll put a link in the video description to their store, and yeah, I'd love some feedback on the video. Cheers guys. If you've got any questions, let me know in the comments section.